I danced a little bit last time. I'm not gonna lie, it kind of got me going when I first heard the beat. I was like, okay, we're here. Sweeney 7. Let's get it. All right, opening thoughts. Let you run with it, and then we'll get straight to it.
Opening thought is that it's almost March. I mean, we are literally hours away. I mean, we are like 27 hours while we're recording this away from March on the East Coast, which is pretty sick. Always a little bittersweet, but I mean, this past weekend felt like a March weekend with all the action, all the upsets, all the incredible atmospheres, and it was everything you love in the sport. So we got a lot more to come. We got conference tournaments this week, which is exciting and crazy, and all the energy of it. I've always said I could turn on a conference tournament game between IUPUI is 358 and KenPom out of 358. I could turn on an IUPUI conference tournament game, and I would enjoy watching it just because of the tension and the energy and the fight. It's just different. There's nothing quite like it, and just super, super excited to get into it. Obviously, it's a stressful time of year for coaches, but it's fun for the rest of us. So,
no doubt. What about the? How do you watch your games normally? Do you have multiple games on different laptop, iPad, TV? Like, what's your flow? I think people want to know that. What's your flow?
It's hard. I mean, I think for most of the year, I try to focus on one game at a time because my goal is to learn about the team I'm watching, right?
Sure.
I think that was one of the things I learned was that I was watching so many games. I wasn't taking anything away from it because I was just scoreboard watching.
Right.
And I think this year I've tried to make an effort to try to focus in on one or two games at a time. But as you get to these February and March, you have to, you get the extra feeders out, the iPads, you get the scores going on your phone, you're flipping on the closest game. I mean, once it becomes scoreboard watching time, you have to do it. It's why, quite honestly, I haven't been to as many games lately. I think I went to 16 games in January. I've been to like 6 in February, and it's because it's harder to go to games right now because you're missing out on all the other stuff. You're missing out on the important games that are going on that you need to watch as a kind of national college basketball reporter like I am. So all the screens get split out. It's definitely fun. I mean, Saturday, I had everything going possible to be up with everything. I think I took like 500 steps all day, and most of it was like pacing around the apartment during like overtime games. They were nervous, and I was fired up for. Went downstairs once to get my Chipotle delivery, and that was pretty much it. So it's been
ordered in too. I like it.
Got it. I mean, I didn't want to miss the action. I mean, come on,
I miss it. I like it.
It was a crazy day.
It was a crazy day. All right, let's get to it. Let's talk straight to it. Top 6 teams lost. Talk about it. So much.
Historic day. I mean, that's the easiest way to describe it. No day in college basketball history before had there ever been 7 top 10 teams to lose in a day. No day in college basketball history had there ever been all 6 top 6 teams losing the same day or all 5 top 5 teams losing a single day. I mean, this was next level. And, it was in every which way. There were close games, there were blowouts, there were high-scoring games, there were low-scoring games. But I think the common denominator was how hard it was to play on the road. And you just go through. I mean, Gonzaga goes on the road to St. Mary's, ridiculous atmosphere. They can't find a way to win. They don't get their offense going. Kentucky goes on the road to Arkansas, ridiculous atmosphere. Kansas goes on the road to Baylor, ridiculous atmosphere. Students were there for 12 hours. Arizona on the road to Colorado, great atmosphere and altitude. Auburn on the road at Tennessee, really difficult place to play. Texas Tech on the road at TCU, not the easiest place to play. And, the desperation for TCU trying to get into the NCAA tournament. I mean, every single one of these teams that lost was playing a road game. And we should have kind of known going in, there should be some craziness because of that, because it's so hard to play on the road. But I think sometimes we forget just how difficult it is. And I think we were reminded yesterday. So it was chaos. In some ways, it's less chaotic than you'd think because everyone just doesn't really move, right? Like since everyone lost, I mean, maybe you want to say that you think more, you think more of Tennessee than Colorado. So Arizona's lost to Tennessee or Auburn's lost to Tennessee doesn't mean as much as Arizona's lost to Colorado, but I try not to play that game. I think, individual performances, especially this time of year, are kind of hard to sift through, and everybody losing means everyone kind of stands pat. So it was a ridiculous day. I don't think we'll have a day quite like it again for a long time. So enjoy when you get them because of 100. There were 146 Division I basketball games yesterday, which is a crazy number. And we were fortunate to have some absolute dandies.
Yes, we were. Any of them surprise you more than the other? I would imagine the Colorado game because they're not ranked, and obviously Tad Boyle does a tremendous job. But I don't think people saw that one coming as much. Most of the other ones were a little bit more heavyweight-ish versus other heavyweights.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Colorado one was surprising, both because Colorado hasn't been as good this year and because they struggled so badly against Arizona State on Thursday. I mean, they played really, really bad. One of their worst games of the season. To turn around and then beat Arizona was really impressive. And then obviously Gonzaga losing is always a surprise at this point. I mean, especially in the WCC. St. Mary's is great, but I think we would all be surprised that not really just that they won, but how St. Mary's won. I mean, they controlled that game. Gonzaga never went on a run. Drew Timme was silenced. Chet was quiet. Like, it was a really, really impressive wire-to-wire performance by St. Mary's.
Yes, I'm going to hop back on here. Hold on. I lost him.
I can see you, B.
Oh, you can't? Oh, okay. My fault. I was like, man, where's this guy at? Here we are. All right, little technical difficulties. We're good.
High-quality podcasting right here.
Yes, high level. As my wife walks in at the same time, I'm like, wait a minute, what's happening? Too much going on. Did you walk in at the wrong time? All right, Randy Bennett, let's talk about him as you have stated the job they did, but let's talk about this is probably the best job he's ever done.
Yeah, I just think that hasn't been made of it because St. Mary's is always so competitive. I mean, look, they're 24. This team does not have a high-level pro on it, right? I mean, if you go back to the history of St. Mary's basketball and look at their really good teams, right? Jock Landale was a fringe NBA player. Jordan Ford was a fringe NBA player. You know, all the way back to like 2013, Matthew Dellavedova played the NBA. Patty Mills, like all those dudes, like they had pros. I mean, they had legitimately excellent players. And again, that's no knock on Logan Johnson and Tommy Kuzi and Matthias Toss. I mean, these guys are all going to be professionals in some form or fashion, but this is not like an overwhelmingly talented team by any stretch of the imagination. This is a group that needs to rely on its defense, that isn't explosive offensively, and he might get their highest ever NCAA tournament seed. I mean, in fact, at this point, I'd be surprised if they don't. As long as they don't lose their first game of the WCC tournament, I have almost no question they're going to be a 5 or a 6 seed, which would be the highest seed ever for St. Mary's, highest seed ever under Randy Bennett, and I think it just says a lot about the job that he has done. When you think about the history in this program, we think about the talent that has come through this place, that this group of all groups is the one that's going to, set that record. I think it speaks volumes about the job that Randy Bennett has done with this group.
Absolutely. And it was rocking in that joint yesterday, rightfully so. Let's talk about Arkansas. You mentioned them being impossible to beat in Bud Walton Arena.
3 times in a month now. Tennessee, Auburn, Kentucky. It doesn't matter. They win the game. JD Notae, I mean, has become one of the best guards in the country. I mean, I don't know if he's really a point guard or a scorer or what he is, but that dude is a flat-out shot creator. It is really impressive what he's able to do. And in a year, we talk so much about the kind of the dearth of lead guards, the dearth of great on-ball guys in college basketball. Holy cow, is this guy deserves some love. I mean, I think he should be in the top 10 of National Player of the Year conversations. I think he should be on every list because if he goes for 30 and 8 in this ball game, was really, really impressive. Is as good a shot maker as there is in the country. He is special, man, and carried the day for an Arkansas team that got yet another huge home win. And I think another reminder that this Arkansas program is a little bit different, and it's at a different level than it's been since Nolan Richardson. Under Muss. Muss just continues to do great things there and build, elite teams and conference title contenders, and really can't say much more about the job he's done there to make that arena such a difficult place to play again.
Difficult place to play. They're into it. We actually played there when I coached at Fresno, and high level arena, high level fan base, and definitely can see how they would have it rocking with the way that they are playing right now. Let's talk about let's go down south a little bit further. Let's go TJ Johnson and Texas State, back-to-back champs.
Yeah, man. I mean, there are so many guys in college basketball, in the mid-major world who are a brand, right? And who have built a reputation for how they build their programs and how they win. And that's not to say that those guys also aren't great, but no one talks about TJ Johnson. I mean, literally no one talks about him. And he has won, all he has done is win the league 2 times in 2 years as a head coach. Win a very good league with a lot of talent. I mean, you go through this league, you look at some of the rosters, and you see not just dudes who played in the high major level, but were contributors, were starters at high major programs. And TJ Johnson has built 2 consecutive championship caliber teams. I just think it speaks volumes of the job he's done. They've won 10 straight since starting, I think 3-3 in the conference. They've just done a tremendous job. I think so much credit to him and the belief level that their staff has in each other and that their players have in that staff. So, I mean, 21-6 is an awesome season, particularly when you consider the 3 of those losses are LSU, Vanderbilt, and Houston, 3 of the 3 high major teams. So I think that when we talk about some of the best younger coaches in the country, some of the guys who are up and comers who are doing a fantastic job, it's time we start mentioning TJ Johnson in that conversation.
Yeah, I would wonder too. Don't you think? Not that we want him to leave Texas State, but he's one of those names to be mentioned for. I mean, as a guy who's rising in this business, I don't think people perceive him as that. It's like he got his job last year, which we can talk about that, but nobody really talks about him as like a guy trending upward to get the next job.
Yeah, I mean, look, there are guys who are going to finish below who finished below him this year in the Sun Belt and who finished below him last year in the Sun Belt, who will get mentioned every single time out of 10 before him for the openings that will be open this spring. And there will be a lot of them.
Yeah, I would say even like I think the thing that's remarkable about this story is, I mean, he got the job right before school year started. Very similar to Isaac Brown. Both coaches got let go right before the school year started. You were an assistant there. You slide over a chair. That part's not easy. And you're interim. That part's not easy. It's not like they were either one picked to be first, and we're just talking about TJ, but it's not like TJ was picked to be first at Texas State or they were this power that you're just sliding into. I mean, they hadn't won a conference championship until then. So I think that part's impressive. And then to follow it up and do it again, you could say, oh, last year was a feel-good story, but no, this dude can actually really, really coach, and he's great at what he does, and I love to see it. A friend of mine, so cool to see. Let's move to some more friends of mine, Murray State and South Dakota State, not San Diego State, league champs undefeated.
Yeah, there's a bunch of league champs we're going to go through here in a moment. And I know we mentioned South Dakota State last week when they clinched their conference title, but I just think that it's worth noting when teams complete an undefeated regular season. And both these teams were tested this week. South Dakota State played Oral Roberts in a thrilling overtime game where Max Asmus went off, but Luke Appel, outdueled him. And then Murray State played the huge, showcase spot against Belmont and blew the doors off of them. I just think, again, it's so challenging. Every league, if you talk to any coach in any league, they will tell you about the one, treacherous road trip that everyone has to take. That's too hard, that no one realizes how hard it is. They'll tell you about, how difficult it is to get your guys up when you're playing a Tuesday night road game against a team that's 500 in the league. There are so many reasons why you won't go undefeated in any mid-major league. It's why it's so unrealistic to expect it. And it gets so frustrating when you see that be the expectation for elite mid-majors who want at-large bids. And, Murray's going to get in regardless. South Dakota State, they still have to win their conference tournament. And I think as long as, as long as they haven't been in that conference tournament yet before we get to the point where it's, win or go home, I think, they certainly deserve some flowers for going undefeated in your conference. It is a tremendous, tremendous, tremendous achievement. And their staff should be unbelievably rewarded and spoken of highly, because it is not easy to do.
No, not easy to do at all. I think even to go on top of that, to think about the COVID rescheduling and the way the teams have had to make the schedules work, and the extra year for people in your conference who know how good these teams are, injuries. I mean, just you go down the line and you have a target on you. I mean, everybody knows you're undefeated, so they want to be able to get that win against you. So extremely impressive. I mean, very rare do we ever see this at any level. So tip our hat to those two teams. Absolutely. Best scorer in college basketball. We haven't talked about this name yet. Excited to dive in. Tell the world about him.
Yeah, Liberty guard Darius McGee goes for a cool 47 on Saturday. He's already had a 48-point game this season. And by the way, he's 5'9". Like, it's sick.
Yeah.
And Liberty plays a slow enough pace where like it is not easy. They're 264th in KenPom tempo. Yeah, it's not like he's running up and down the floor. I mean, he is a bucket, man. He is so good. He also takes care of the basketball. He's got a really good assist rate. Let me go through his February scoring totals, and that this does not include the 48-point game he had in January or the 41-point game he had in December, and that was against Stanford, by the way. In February, he's had games with 13, 21, 29, 30, 28, 39, 34, 28, and 47 points.
Sheesh.
Is that good?
It's decent.
He's a hooper, man. He is so good, and it's a special season. And like, again, if you go by points per 100 possessions instead of points per 40 minutes or points per this to try to take the tempo out of this, he leads the country among the elite, among the nation's top scorers. You think if you can go down the list and find like a microwave guy off the bench who plays like 8 minutes, 12 minutes a game. But if you play like guys who have put up numbers this year, he is by far the nation's best scorer. It's remarkable.
That is remarkable. And they're competing to win conference championships. They're close. They're second place, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, they are second place. The conference tournament starts this week. It's going to be electric. I think it's actually all done this week. I think it's 3 games in like 7 days on the road in different sites. And holy cow, man. That's going to be a battle. I mean, we didn't mention it, but Jacksonville U with Jordan Mincy, they've done a tremendous job in year one. Jacksonville State's really, really good. Florida Gulf Coast is really, really good. It's a fun league.
No doubt. I love it. All right, we got are we back? A10 surging at the right time. Obviously, VCU, we had Dayton, but they kind of dropped one and they kind of made some things interesting. St. Bonnie's is still kind of in that picture. And at the top is Davidson. Excuse me. Sorry, Davidson. There we go.
Well, what I think is exciting about this league is really with the exception of Davidson, and even Davidson's not a lock. If you take out Davidson, everyone needs to win the league tournament to get in. No one's going to feel comfortable otherwise. And even Davidson, again, will probably be sweating if they don't win the conference tournament. But there's so many good teams. I mean, there are 6 top 100 KenPom teams. St. Bonaventure's, has 5 senior starters. They went to the tournament last year. They're red hot. Dayton's super talented. Was until Saturday a top 15 team in T rank, which is like KenPom, since November 23rd. If you took the first 2 weeks of their season out, which were a disaster. VCU has been unbelievable with Ace Baldwin back. We've talked about them in the past. Davidson shoots the cover off the basketball. St. Louis is Yuri Collins. Richmond's old as heck. I mean, George Mason is really, really solid and has a great player up front in Josh Aduro. Like, everyone needs to win it. And I just love when there's that energy and that desperation. That tournament's going to be fun. But before then, we got a couple of huge ones this coming weekend. I know Dayton plays Davidson. That'll be a huge game at UD Arena. VCU trying to finish strong as well. They have Bonnie's and St. Louis. So it's going to be a fun week ahead in the Atlantic time.
Yeah, Davidson's ranked. They were ranked in the top 25, have been this year. And to think that they have to win the tournament is kind of mind-blowing, to be honest. Given the fact that most of the time, if you get in the top 25 and you still have a pretty good record, and they may win the league, top 25 and win the league, may not get in.
If they win their next 2 going into the conference tournament, I think they will probably. There's very little question in my mind they'll get in. If they struggle this week, then it might be a little hairy. They're probably in better place though than most. They're probably good shape, but I mean, it is, the desperation, though, in that tournament is going to be next level, especially with how talented some of these teams are and how old some of them are, too. I mean, last shot for a lot of these guys.
And one of your favorite teams, unbiasedly so, but since you live there, is joining the conference next year.
It's going to be a blast, man. Loyola Chicago, that's going to make this league so much better. Loyola's got to get through the Valley tournament this week.
You're going to be watching even more A-10 games because they're going to
it's so great. And look, I love the Valley. I think it's so fun. And the Valley stays in Chicago because they got NUIC.
True.
But some of the A10 brands and the fan bases are so fun. And to bring them to Chicago, I mean, the Dayton fans travel like crazy. The VCU fans are terrific, and it's a terrific program.
Right.
I mean, it just levels up the conference, and I can't wait for that. But Loyola's got a big Missouri Valley tournament coming up this week. Might need to win it to get in. Probably 50-50 whether they get in without it.
Who is that?
Loyola Chicago.
Yeah.
And also worth watching potential scheduling. I mean, I know we saw BYU say they're interested in trying to add a non-conference game to try to boost their resume.
Yeah.
Could we see? I don't think it'll happen this week, but if Loyola were to lose in the first weekend of or losing their conference tournaments the first week in conference tournament, could the rest of Champ Week they go out and play a game or two against a good team? I could absolutely see that. I think that's absolutely a possibility and something to watch.
I love it. They did have the schedule with San Francisco, met in Salt Lake City, played at JUCO, was must-see TV, and they were able to come away with that.
And it's the best win of the year for them. Best win that they have. One of their Q1s.
It's keeping them in the conversation.
They might have to do it again to get in, man.
I have to double back. I like it. All right, let's go awards.
Yeah.
High Major Team of the Week. We're keeping it kind of simple this week. If you won your conference, you're the Team of the Week, period. You earned it. All right, so we're going Providence, the only high major so far. If I'm not mistaken, did Houston win today?
Houston did win today. Yes.
Are they done? Have they clinched?
Yes, they have. They have clinched. Technically, they have not because they have 3 more games left.
Okay, but I didn't think they had yet because
they've clinched the share, but not they haven't clinched the overall. They haven't clinched outright.
So. If they clinched the share, we might have to sneak them in. All right, so let's talk about Houston and Providence real quick.
Yeah, I mean, Houston obviously nice win today over SMU. Kind of regardless of whether they've clinched or not, they're the best team in the league.
They got them back.
Showed it today.
They got them there, and SMU was in second, so there was a little bit of drama going into this one.
Yep, 11 assists to 1 turnover for Jamal Shed, the point guard, and 21 and 9 for Fabian White. It was a classic Houston Cougar basketball performance. And Providence, I mean, it wasn't pretty this week against Xavier. They needed 3 overtimes to find a way, and some and to deal with some leaky roof mid game. That was crazy, ridiculous game. I mean, if you go on KenPom and you look at the win probability graph, it's like your heartbeat, man. It's up and down and up and down. But Providence found a way, and then for once had some breathing room in a game and blew out Creighton on Saturday to clinch the league title, and fans got to storm the court. It's cool to do it on your home court. So much credit to Ed Cooley, who I think should be the national coach of the year. How many people even picked? There were a lot of people who didn't even pick this team to make the NCAA tournament in the preseason, and here they are.
Yeah, I love it. I absolutely love it. Big time coach, underrated, kind of like you said about TJ Johnson. To be honest, he's a guy that doesn't really get the kind of respect in that league. He's not the brand, like you said, as some of those other guys. I don't even think Ed Cooley has a social media whatsoever. So, yeah.
Ed Cooley, the American dream, John Rothstein.
Exactly. That's about the only brand.
That's the only brand. Johnny Boy selling T-shirts with Ed's picture on it.
Oh, man. We won't go down that road. It could get dicey. All right. Let's go high major player of the week. You got one you're really excited about. Let's talk about him.
Yes, absolutely. I think Adam Flagler deserves a lot of credit for how he's played for this Baylor team because of how many guys have been in and out. I mean, LJ Cryer has been banged up. He's had a foot injury. James Akinjo has had his struggles. He's been up and down. He was out of the lineup for a game. And Adam Flagler comes in and wills them to victory against Oklahoma State when they got all they could have handled from Mike Boynton's club. He goes for 29 points. He had 7 threes. And then he turns around over the weekend and was really, really steady against Kansas. Really steady. 13 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists. Kind of managed the game. Was just so critical for them and got their 2 big men going. Tamba and Jeremy Sohan dominated that game. but it was because of Flagler and the attention that he earns and the ability he has to get them out in transition. The way he guarded too, he did a really good job with Christian Brown, the tremendous wing for Kansas. So yeah, I just think Flagler deserves a lot of credit. Is one of the least appreciated outstanding players in college basketball.
Yeah, I would agree. And Baylor with the huge win against Kansas. So people are saying they may be on that first line in the tournament.
No team has more quadrant 1 wins.
Yep, that's line 1 worthy, which means number 1 seed. All right, mid-major team of the week. We have mid-major teams of the week. I'll let you just zip through them. We got a bunch. We've covered a few, but I'll let you kind of rapid fire into this one real quick.
Yeah, I mean, Gonzaga wins the WCC, so we'll count on them. Chattanooga wins the SoCon. Congrats to them. Bryant wins the NEC.
I thought everything about Gonzaga wasn't mid-major. It's only because of mid-major.
Yes, that's correct. I'm just going through the conference champions.
Just making sure we got this right.
Murray State wins the OVC. A-Sun goes to Jacksonville State. Kudos to Ray Harper there. The CAA is won by Takayo Siddle in year 2 at UNC Wilmington. Tremendous work there. Colgate wins the Patriot League. Northern Iowa wins the Missouri Valley. Texas State, we mentioned, won the Sun Belt. Longwood, tremendous job by Griff Aldrich down there. They win the Big South. And I think that's everyone. And Vermont wins the America East. I think that's everyone. If I forgot one, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't have any fact checking. Let me see if I got anything on the fact check meter. I wrote down a few earlier so I could be prepared for this just in case. All right, I got it. Just kidding. Little drama right there. All right, mid-major player of the week. What do we got?
Mid-major player of the week goes to.
Drum roll, please.
Drum roll, please. As Kevin tries to remember who we put down. AJ Green, Northern Iowa. Tremendous job. He was so clutch for them yesterday in a winner-take-all game to win the Missouri Valley title. I think it was awesome that with everything he's been through last year with his hip injury to come back and go for 32 points, make 16 of 18 free throws. And I think one of the cool things, too, was he was on the free throw line with a chance to win them the game in the final 30 seconds of regulation. He missed a free throw that would have won them the game. Instead, it went to overtime. And he stepped up. He made every big free throw late in the game in overtime to help them pull away and find the victory. So that kid has been through a lot. He's a tremendous scorer and really put it to Loyola yesterday in a game that they really wanted to have. So that's now 6 straight 20-plus point performances, which ain't bad, as they say.
I love it. I did find my list. So did we say some of these teams? North Texas, we said?
We did not say North Texas. I think we said North Texas last week. But if we didn't, North Texas, team of the week.
But they didn't win it last week. They were hot, but they didn't win it. So North Texas, they go 3 times in a row. Shout out to the homies. Cleveland State, did we say them? We said them last week.
We said them last week, yeah.
Yep. We said Murray. Did you say Chat?
I did say Chat.
All right, good. In Vermont, we said?
Yes, sir.
Last week. All right, just making sure. Just had to double check. I mean, it is Kevin Sweeney. He rarely ever makes any mistakes ever. So let's just be honest. He did almost make a perfect score, ladies and gentlemen, too. I don't know if you know that about him. Almost a perfect score. All right, on his standardized test. HBCU player of the week. Actually, we'll go team of the week next. We'll go player last. Team of the week. We decided to go with another conference champ that clinched a share, which is Norfolk State.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've talked about the team a lot, so I don't want to kind of go through this again, but we've said many times. Robert Jones is the man. He's outstanding. They lost 4 starters from last year's team. They win the league again. He is as consistent as they come. Go check out the documentary that B helped put together for Rising Coaches.
Yes.
Shout out to everyone down at Norfolk. They do a tremendous job.
Yep, absolutely. And another championship. Definitely not getting that large bid, so they have to win their tournament. So big for them. And they did lose a game or 2 along the way. So, and they may split the title. So could get interesting a little bit in that league, but obviously we know how good they are and what they've been able to do, and they won a game in the tournament last year as well. So now we got HBCU player of the week, the last one. Drum roll, please.
Lots of contenders for this one, but
Yes.
we like to give it to guys who won. And PJ Henry from Texas Southern got 2 big wins. He had a nice 14-point explosion in 19 minutes against Jackson State on Saturday, and earlier in the week had 11 points, 7 rebounds, and 3 assists, despite being only 5'10". Love a 5'10" guy who goes out and grabs 7 rebounds in a win over Pine Bluff. That was a 2-point victory. When they were without some guys who were in the mix in the rotation. John Walker didn't play in that game for Texas Southern, so it is a really balanced Texas Southern team. I think we've given the Player of the Week award to them before and not to PJ, which I think says a lot about the group that they have. So they are now in first place again at 12-4, and it's a very competitive conference race. And so looking forward to that conference tournament, which is the second weekend of conference tournaments. So 10 or so days from now.
Yeah, he's from Houston. He's back home, but he's been in 2 NCAA tournament caliber programs. He went to VCU first, then he went to Colorado State, and now he's at Texas Southern, being to play a much bigger role. So love to see that. And now we're at the closing of the show. Upcoming games. We got so much. I don't even know where you're going to go with this, but we give the floor to Kevin to close the show.
This is March, baby. Can't wait. Arch Madness this weekend. Your eyes need to be in St. Louis. Your eyes, and it'll be a lot of fun. Other game that I'll be excited about. I'm going to Wisconsin versus Purdue in Madison on Tuesday. If people recall, the first meeting was relatively entertaining. Johnny Davis had 37 points, so hoping we get a similar result. Be alive, my friend.
And about that time. So one of those days, one of those nights is March Madness everywhere, including in the home on a Sunday night, including with the production crew. It's just how it goes down sometimes. We're getting ready. February Frenzy leads into March Madness. Looking forward to it. Got some conference races that will come down to these last games for regular season titles too. Everybody playing for bids or seeding, so the urgency crazy high. Can't wait for it. We want all the smoke. So stay tuned.
This is March.
Yes, this is March, and we are here. Be back.